So when that gets recording, or while that gets going, what I want you to do is I want you to go to Schoology, and you are going to click on the assignment that is called Qur'an activity. Okay. And when you click on that assignment, there are two attachments. The first one is a set of articles. The second one is the actual assignment part. So go ahead, download the assignment part, put it into Notability. Okay, here is what it looks like. If you don't have access to Schoology right now, just follow along with what we're doing. You will have an opportunity to get this down and completed at a later point when Schoology is working, because I am recording this part of the class. Okay, so you will have access to this video, so you can just go through and copy everything that we do. So this is kind of what the articles look like. It's kind of an introduction into what the Quran is. So as we know, the Quran is the sacred book in Islam. Can you guys all see my face as well as the screen that I'm presenting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is what the Quran looks like. Okay, my husband just got this off of Amazon like last week, and I was like, perfect, I'm going to use that for class. What I think is really interesting about the Quran is it reads right to left, not left to right. So when you open it, it opens like backwards. Okay, and then you read from the right page and then to the left page. Right? Whereas normally, right, when we read a book, we would read from the left and read to the right. So it's essentially opposite of how we traditionally read books. The Quran is the holy book in Islam, and it is broken down by topic. So the Bible is broken down chronologically. So the holy book for Christianity starts at the beginning of time, works through whatever year. The Quran, on the other hand, is broken down by topic or subject or lesson. Okay, so it's not a chronological book, but more thematic. So you can go look at certain topics like marriage or relationships or like women's roles or responsibilities, things like that. Food, things like that in a thematic view in the Quran. So that's just some quick differences between the two. So traditionally the Quran is written in Arabic. Okay, so if I like open this up, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like half of it is written in Arabic and then it's translated into English. Okay, so traditionally it's all written in Arabic. But there are translations, obviously, to English that exist. So in the Quran, like I said, it's thematic and it's based on the revelations or the teachings that Muhammad got from the angel Gabriel that came from Allah. Allah is God, same like idea, same, not person because they're not people, but same general idea. And those teachings or those revelations are what's in the Quran. So similar to how the Bible is constructed. And the Quran is made up of 114 different chapters. And like I said, the chapters are thematical and then they go in order by length. Okay, so the first chapter is the longest chapter. And then the last one is the shortest one. The Quran is considered to be the most holy book in the world by Muslims. So you are supposed to treat your copy of the Quran with the utmost respect. So I found my husband's shoved in our cookbook collection. So I should maybe remind him after he wakes up that he maybe shouldn't put it in with our cookbooks. Okay, so then what is the Hadith? The Hadith is compilation of practices, traditions, and sayings from the Prophet Muhammad. So along with the Quran, the Hadith is considered the guide for Muslims to better practice and understand their religion. And it's important for Muslims to follow the examples of Muhammad, who is considered the best role of what a Muslim should be. Okay, so what we are going to do today, what our activity is we are going to be reading excerpts from the Quran. So not this one, but the one that you have scanned into Schoology. And we are going to kind of break down what the summary of that teaching is. And then for each of these topics, we have a scenario that is going to pair with it. So our first one is talking about diet. So this is about like food consumption. Okay. So according to the Quran, right? So this is like step number 2. And here's what the Quran says about how Muslims should treat food, or what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat. So it says, forbidden to you for food are dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which hath been invoked in the name other than God. Okay, so they're saying in this first section that you shouldn't eat like roadkill, so any like randomly killed food that you find on the side of the road, or animals that you find on the side of the road. Blood, so don't consume blood of any kind. Swine, which is pig or pork, and anything that has not been killed in the halal fashion. So the halal fashion is a certain way in which animals are killed. They're blessed beforehand. Okay? So what I would do on this sheet right here for summary of teaching under text box, or I would click text box. Right, for diet, I would say no roadkill, blood, pork, or unblessed meat. Okay. Then, continuing on, and it says, eat not of meats on which God's name hath not been pronounced. That's the halal fashion. That would be impiety. But the evil ones ever inspired their friends to contend with you. If ye were to obey them, ye would indeed be pagans. Lawful to you is the pursuit of water game. And so they're saying, like, eat all the birds you want. And it's used for food for the benefit of yourself and those who travel. Okay, so I would go back to my teaching, and I would say birds are okay. So like any bird or any poultry type animal is okay. Then once I have the summary of the teaching down, once I figure out what it actually says, I go through and I read this hypothetical situation, this scenario. And so our scenario is Ali, who's a Muslim, is at a summer picnic with his friend Michael. Okay, at dinner time, Michael's father asks Ali how many pieces of barbecued pork he wants. So according to what the Quran says, how would Ali most likely respond? Okay. So in this box, the scenario response is where you would write your answer. So Ali's at the barbecue. Michael's dad says, hey, we're having barbecued pork. How many pieces do you want? What would Ali say? How would he respond? What do you guys think? Somebody can unmute themselves and answer. Okay.
None, because it's like against the rules to eat pork.
Right? He would say, no, like, I don't eat pork. Right? Okay. So, like, no, thank you. I don't eat pork. Like, do you have any chicken? Something else. Right? Exactly. So he would turn down the offer. Because according to the Quran, pork is a no-go. And then we repeat this process with our next topic, which is prayer. Okay. So here's the reading about prayer. Okay. So may God be pleased with him, reported that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The earth is a mosque for you, so wherever you are at the time of prayer, pray there." Okay, so in that first section, okay, it says that you can pray anywhere, right? You don't have to go to a mosque to conduct the prayers. You can pray anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where you are. Like my husband prays in my kitchen sometimes. Okay. So then the second part, may God be pleased with him, reported that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, there are 5 obligatory prayers which Allah the Exalted has made obligatory, meaning mandatory or required for you. The person who performed the ritual washing for those prayers well, offered them in time, and completed the act of bowing, and observed them with devotion, Allah is bound to forgive him. So all of that, right, said that there are 5 daily prayers, okay, which again should be a review from both the notes and human geography last year. Okay. So we have 5 daily prayers. Then section number 3, okay, said, when you intend to offer the prayer, perform ablution well and turn your face to the Kaaba, the holy place in Mecca, and say, Allah and the greatest, then recite any piece of the holy book that you can easily do, then bow down well, then stand erect, then prostrate, which means like position in which the forehead, the nose, the palms, both hands, the knees, the toes, the 8 points of the body are all touching the ground in a bowing manner. Then sit erect, then prostrate again, then do that to the end while offering the prayer. Okay. So what that all says is that you face the direction of Mecca, and Mecca is in Saudi Arabia. So from here in the United States, that's kind of a like southeastern direction, kind of. And then you practice a bowing like stance. Okay. So 8 points of your body touch the ground when you bow to pray. So taking a look at our hypothetical situation. Okay, Rashad is sitting with a group of friends at the bus stop. As they discuss each other's family's religion, Benito asks Rashad how and when Muslims pray. According to this translation, how would Rashad respond? Okay. So how would he answer? What would he say? How would he describe how his family prays?
He would say he prays 5 times a day, facing the direction of Mecca and bowing, doing a bowing stance with 8
Okay.
points.
Yeah. So he could say, I pray 5 times a day and face the direction of Mecca when I do pray. Okay. It's a series of bows. Okay. And like kneeling. Absolutely. Okay, so then we move on and talk about dress for women. Okay, so this is our next one. So it says, and say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty, that they should not display beauty or ornaments except what must ordinarily appear. Thereof, that they should draw their veils over their bosoms and not display their beauty, except to their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their brothers or their brothers' sons, or their sisters' sons, or their women folk. So this whole first section talks about modesty. Okay, so covering exposed skin. Okay, so they're saying like cover your chest, right? Lower your gaze when you're like talking to people. So don't look men directly in the eyes. Okay. Lower your gaze. The second section, such elderly women are past the prospect of marriage. There's no blame on them if they lay aside their outer garments, provided they make not a wanton display of their beauty, but it's best for them to be modest, and God is the one who sees and knows all things. So they're saying like once you're married and once you're old, okay, you don't have to be as modest because people aren't looking at you in an attractive sense. Okay, so modesty refers to all women until you are old. Okay. So Aisha, may God be pleased with her, reported that Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr, visited Allah's messenger, and she had been putting on thin clothes. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, turned away from her and said, Asma, when the woman attains the age of puberty, it does not deem proper or appropriate that her body be seen except for this and this part of her body, and pointed to his face and both of his palms. So again, that goes back to modesty, covering exposed skin. So the only thing that women should show, okay, are their face and palms or their hands. Okay, our situation. Okay. Amina is an 8-year-old. After Friday prayers at the mosque one day, Amina asks her mother how she should dress when she is an adult. According to the translation, okay, how would her mother likely respond? So what's her mom going to say to Amina when she says, how am I going to dress when I'm old? And like when I'm an adult, how should I dress? How might she respond?
Cover exposed skin.
Yeah. So you will wear clothing that covers your exposed skin. Okay. And we're not talking about like sweatshirts and yoga pants here, right? We're talking about like modest clothing so as to not draw attention. Okay. So oftentimes we're looking at an abaya or a longer dress type material that reaches the floor and really doesn't show kind of like the shape of the body. Okay, so we are at the end of class. What your assignment is to choose 2 more of these readings. Okay, because you have to do 5 total. We did 3 together. You're going to choose 2 more. So you can choose from alcohol, courteousness, that's like being polite, charity, forgiveness, or respect from parents. And choose 2 more of them. break down what the Quran says, and then respond to the scenario. Okay, that is your homework assignment for tonight. You should be able to get this done in like 10-ish minutes. Okay, so again, your homework assignment for tonight is to choose 2 more of the topics. Okay. Break down what the Quran says, and then respond to the scenario. And then you turn in the assignment. Questions? Okay, I will post this recording in today's folder, and